Hello there, you're now with me, Handy Gui, and welcome to your 5 p.m. English news on TVS. Now let's dive into the headlines for today. The first flight from Singapore had safely arrived in Kuching, marking the start of the two-way destinations flight, after a fast pause of the flight for 2 years due to the pandemic. For more details, we have our reporter on the line with insight into what to expect. Take it away, Moika.
Thank you, studio. I am here at the Kuching International Airport witnessing the first ever Singapore-bound to Kuching flight via AirAsia AK1776. Now, the flight reached at 4:15 p.m. Malaysian time with 180 passengers on board, of which 46% are Malaysians and others make up of Singaporeans and other foreigners. The flight was welcomed with a water salute ceremony and the garlanding of passengers. Now, the VIP who's here today are Minister for Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts Sarawak, Dato' Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah, Deputy Minister for Transport Sarawak, Dato' Dr. Jerib Susil, and CEO of Sarawak Tourism Board, Shazidi Saleh Askor. Dato' Sri Karim mentioned that the 180 passengers are all very excited to be able to travel to Sarawak, and indeed that is true, seeing all the excitement on their faces. Now, in a press conference just now, he was saying that more than 90% of flight frequencies during the pre-pandemic stage have been reinstated, with added routes from Penang to Kuching and Singapore to Miri. In addition, he mentioned with great excitement that he can't wait for more collaboration with AirAsia. Well, that's all the updates I have for you. Back to you, studio.
Thank you, Moika, for the insight. Now moving on, Sarawak Police Commissioner Datu Muhammad Azman Ahmad Sapri said the police are ready to further enhance security control in Sarawak. And according to Muhammad Azman, the effort will be expanded to achieve high security goals in the state. He said maintaining prosperity for the sake of the harmony of the people will always be a priority for the force.
Jadi pada pagi ini kita mengadakan kunjungan hormat dan berbincang dan bertukar-tukar pandangan dan pendapat berkaitan dengan isu-isu semasa, isu keselamatan di negeri Sarawak ini, dan juga berkaitan dengan perkara-perkara berkaitan dengan skop polis PJRN dalam usaha untuk mengatasi dan juga mengawal keadaan jenayah di Sarawak.
Azman said this after paying a courtesy call to Premier of Sarawak, Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg at Wisma Bapa Malaysia on Friday, April 29th, introducing himself as the #1 police officer in Sarawak. Following his appointment effective April 18th, replacing the acting Sarawak Police Commissioner, Dato' Mancha Atta. Additionally, Dato' Aidi Ismail is currently serving as the new Director of the Crime Prevention and Community Safety Department, JPJKK Bukit Aman. Earlier on Friday, April 29th, the Sarawak Premier also received a courtesy call from the Chairman of the Sarawak State Services Commission, Dato' Abdul Ghafur Sharif. Following the recent SOP relaxation announcement, travel movement from various districts has increased significantly in Kuching City. Kuching Police Chief Assistant Commissioner of Police AHSMON BAJAH said the increase is one of the main challenges of the police with regard to the local crime rate.
He added that Kuching is also facing crime cases such as theft and housebreaking. However, it is not included in the critical or aggressive categories.
Keadaan jenayah pada masa ini adalah dalam keadaan terkawal. Tiada kes-kes yang kritikal ataupun agresif sangat yang berlaku. Kita tidak menolak, kita mengakui ada kes-kes yang berlaku seperti pecah rumah, seperti kehilangan, kecurian kenderaan, tetapi semuanya dalam keadaan terkawal. Kalau dibandingkan dengan tempoh sebelum ini, dalam tempoh 4 bulan pada tahun sebelum ini dan 2 tahun sebelum itu, sebelum COVID, tren jenayah yang berlaku sekarang di daerah Kuching adalah menurun. Itu hasil usaha daripada semua pasukan yang terlibat dan kerjasama daripada masyarakat yang ada di daerah Kuching.
He said so after officiating the flag-off ceremony for the Selamat 18 in conjunction with the 2022 Aidilfitri celebration on Friday morning. Selamat 18 involves police officers from the Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department, Crime Prevention and Community Safety Department, Criminal Investigation Department, Narcotic Investigation Department, general duties, including other officers.
The Sarawak Road Safety Council is now under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Transport, MOT. The council was formerly under the Ministry of Port and Infrastructure Development, MIPD. Deputy Sarawak Premier, who is also MIPD Minister, Dato' Amar Douglas Uga, handed over the council to MOT Minister, Dato' Sri Lee Kim Shin, on Friday, April 29th, after a meeting held at his office. Present to witness the handing over were Deputy Transport Minister, Dato' Dr. Jerb Susil, Deputy MIPD Minister, Aidil Lariwo, the Permanent Secretaries to MIPD, Dato' Safri Zainuddin, and to MOT, Dato' Baklin Bangik. Welcome back. Now, Samarahan MP Dato' Rubiah Wang reiterated the Sarawak government under Gabungan Party Sarawak's sincerity in acknowledging the role of women and contributions of the women while holding firmly to the principle of women empowerment as they are one of the most important pillars in the region's development.
Dan adalah tidak sukar untuk mencari calon-calon wanita lah, khasnya untuk meningkatkan jumlah leadership. Tambah lagi kita Premier sendiri menyokong orang kata menyokong kepada orang kata perkembangan dan pembangunan wanita dalam kepimpinan, yang mana kita coba memberi sumbangan 30% lah wanita dalam kepimpinan. Jadi harapan kita kota ini ataupun jumlah ini tidak dikurangkan, tetapi dikekal ataupun ditingkatkan dalam pilihan raya umum yang akan datang.
She said so after officiating the Tuntong, a tradition of lighting up oil lamps competition at Kampong Serpan Ulu, Asajaya on Thursday, April 28. Commenting further, Rubiah Wang said GPS's sincerity in empowering women was reflected in its 12-state election manifesto, which included the point, empowering women's involvement in Sarawak development. She said promises in the manifesto were not mere talk, as various initiatives had been implemented through the Ministry of Women, Childhood and Community Well-being over the years. Russia fired 2 missiles into the Ukrainian capital Kiev on Thursday, April 28, during a visit by UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. One missile hit the lower floor of the residential building, injuring at least 10 people.
Emergency services rushed to extinguish fires in the aftermath of blasts in Kiev. Fires raged from damaged buildings as firefighters tried to quell the flames with water, causing rubble and debris to cover the ground. Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov and Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba both said The blasts were caused by Russian missiles. Kiev has enjoyed being relatively calm since Russian invasion forces failed to capture it in the face of stiff Ukrainian resistance and withdrew several weeks ago. However, it remains vulnerable to longer-range Russian heavy weaponry. The explosions occurred after UN Chief Guterres completed talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, focusing on efforts to evacuate civilians from the Russian-besieged southern part of Mariupol.
South Korea imported a total of $2.2 billion worth of animal and vegetable fats and oils in 2021, of which about 30% were palm oil. A total of 56.1% of those came from Indonesia and 43.8% from Malaysia.
However, due to last week's news of a cost-boosting ban on Indonesian cooking oil exports, operators fear the day is not far when they will have no choice but to raise prices and risk losing customers. At Kang Jung-a's fried chicken diner in Seoul, the fryer is always full of hot oil and the kitchen staff is ready to fry up the tasty dish for hungry customers.
어떻게든 버틴다고 버티고 있었는데 지금 이제 기름값까지 또 인건비가 오고 다 올려놓고 또 기름값까지 올린다고 하면 저희 입장에서는 어쩔 수 없이 뭐 가격 인상을 할 수밖에 없는 부분이 되는 거죠.
An 18-liter tin of edible oil in South Korea now costs about 50,000 won, approximately double from a year earlier, and could go higher. Genesis Barbecue, one of the country's biggest fried chicken chains, last week said it will raise the prices of most items on its menu for the first time in 4 years by 10% starting May 2nd. Additionally, customers are also worried about the financial impact of the popular meal.
한 마리 3만 원은 현실적으로 좀 많이 부담돼서 이 정도면은 진짜 치킨이 아니라 닭을 기르고 기름을 집에서 뭐 어떻게 따로 해봐야 되지 않을 정도로 심각하게 좀 다가오는 것 같습니다.
The latest struggle highlights a growing problem for Asia's fourth largest economy, where policymakers are wary of the current cost-push inflation turning into even higher inflationary expectations among consumers, as inflation is at a decade-high level.
Australia has recorded its highest annual inflation rate in more than 20 years due to soaring fuel prices. And according to data published by the Australian Bureau of Statistics on Wednesday, the Consumer Price Index CPI, which measures the cost of living, rose 2.1% in the first quarter of 2022 and 5.1% in the last 12 months.
The data marks the highest annual CPI reading since 2002, when a 10% of goods and service tax (GST) was introduced. The Australian Bureau of Statistics said the rising cost of living was driven by a 5.7% increase in the cost of building a new house and an 11% rise in fuel price. The cost of food increased by 2.8% in the March quarter, led by beef and vegetables, in which beef prices rose by 7.6% and vegetables by 6.6%. Michelle Marquardt, head of prices statistics at the ABS, said the price soar for newly built dwellings is propelled by continued shortages of building supplies and labor, heightened freight costs, and ongoing strong demand. She added that the CPI's automotive fuel series reached a record level for the third consecutive quarter, with fuel price rises across all 3 months of the March quarter.
And that concludes the news for today. With that, I'm Handy Gui. Stay safe and have a pleasant day.